Rodrigo, thanks so much for visiting us. It's a personal pleasure to have you here, and we're gonna keep it short since
Yes.
we have a time pressure.
Very happy to be here, Mauricio. Thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to ask you because most of the people here in Slovenia and the community that we are working with don't really know about SEMAS and what is the institution you've been running for 18 years.
18 years now.
Already.
So SEMAS, it's the Mexican Center for Music and Sonic Arts, which is the public institution from the Ministry of Culture, like the National Ministry of Culture and the State Culture of Michoacán, where it's based. It's based in Morelia, that's the name of the city, and it's part of the national network for research and production centers that belongs to the National Center for the Arts, which is in Mexico City. So they have, they used to have up to 28 centers, like concentrated in different topics, and SEMAS is the one who runs music and technology. And then from there we developed an undergraduate with the National University, a diploma and a residency program and concerts, and worked for like spaces where artists can work, and of course we also have like a audience development program where kids come and they learn about technology. So it became more like a center for music technology.
That's the specialization of it. But you came to a city that is outside Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
That is not necessarily where most of the tradition, although it has this conservatory that has been or allegedly is the first conservatory in America.
In America, yeah.
There is a tradition of music, but technology was not there. I studied there in 1997, 1998. And there was really not much going on.
No,
you built it from scratch.
Yeah, that was part of the thing, because it's the area. It's pretty strong and powerful in terms of popular music and classical music and everything else except for technology. So that was a good opportunity to complement, because there was the State University had a music program, then the conservatoire, of course, and then this helped because the whole idea of SEMAS was to provide other institutions with the technology for their courses. So we started working with all of those places instead of just becoming a school ourselves.
And this is probably one of the most, not only because it's not in Mexico City, but just creating new audiences and creating conscience and trying to not kidnap, but just to bring the guys who's studying composition like the way that we study when we were in the university is difficult, huh?
Well, it is difficult, and Mexico is very centralized, so everyone thinks about Mexico City, and it's very difficult for us to get funding and convince embassies of supporting artists from other countries to go to Mexico and not going through Mexico City. They always ask us to, okay, we can provide that as long as you do something in Mexico City. We can give you money as long as you do whatever you want there, but then you come to Mexico City and do that here.
Where all the embassies are.
Everything is there. But also the national government is the same. I mean, why don't you come here for a meeting? Let's come and see where you can do things. Bring it to our halls and everything. So that's a struggle. On the other hand, it's very nice because you are in like an area where everyone is willing to have access to these things without traveling to Mexico City, and it's in the middle of the country. It's near all the main centers of contemporary music, so it's not that far.
Right, in Mexican standards is not that far. In European standards, like you have to cross 3 countries.
Yeah, that's true. It's a 5-hour drive from Mexico City. Yeah.
Right. But in a way, the whole scene of music had changed. Not only in Morelia, it affected Mexico and also the whole country, and also the rest of Latin America. It has been a drastic change. One institution that survived different administrations and different local, federal, and state governments.
Yeah. We have had so far. I was doing the numbers, and I have had 17 bosses in the last 18 years. In terms of all the parts that are there's always someone that just arrived, and there's always someone that is about to leave.
So it's one boss that lasts for 1 year, for 14 months.
Yeah,
it's like the average.
More or less, yes. But the thing is that we have had from all the parties, and sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't. But the whole, which is, it's strange for Mexico to have like this continuity of an institution. It's not very common. On the other hand, it's a model that it's resilient because it actually depends, of course, on the budget, but we can also survive with private money or artists who pay for residencies or they buy what we do, or they take our courses online nowadays, and so we get money from what we provide.
Right. And this is the other question that I wanted to ask you, related to private sector. In Europe, and especially in Slovenia, we have this tradition, or we have this history that it doesn't allow us to get close to private sector. There is a stigma that private sector will destroy anything that has to do with culture. And in Mexico, it's not so rare, but it is strange to have it. Huh?
Yes.
Do you have any resistance towards the artistic community at the beginning about this?
But the thing is that SEMAS moves in the middle, because we do get money which is somehow private but comes through cultural foundations or the embassies. It's not like a private company supporting us at all. So, but there's this way that we can do projects that are deductible from taxes. So we get that money, and it's good for the company as well. So there's a little bit of incentive in that sense. But it's true that sometimes artists or whatever, they think that there's something. They feel afraid of
getting into this.
Even doing something that is supported by that money. It's sometimes complicated. But on the other hand, we have some support from companies that actually develop music software or hardware, which is in that case, I mean, everyone's very happy to use whatever they can get to their hands on. So that also works a lot.
And this is a way probably that one of the reasons why a formula works, that can transcend administration, when you have more elements in the equation, not only the artists, like we have in Slovenia in particular. This is the place that I know the most in Europe, is that you have the artists and you have the government, and this is a binomium that somehow it always gets, if one part falls, the other one disappears. And here you always have at least 2-3 players around. Right?
Yeah, we used to. I mean, we've been developing that for years, to have as many players as possible. All of them rather small. Because we don't get a lot of money from anywhere. But we always have someone that it's about to be able to support us, and someone that doesn't have any money that year. But we still do things for them, and then we just wait for the next year when the situation is a little bit better. So that's how we've been able to survive. But it grows, and I mean, at the beginning, of course, it was myself, and then we went up to 30-something employees, like full-time employees, and then back to like 10, and then again to 30, and then now it's 8. So it goes up and down. So it's very flexible in that sense.
Yeah, but it's a good model that should be replicated, and somehow in the country hasn't happened, right?
No, it doesn't. But it also depends on. Well, it had, for example, of this network I was talking about, the theater center, which is also in Michoacán, Cedram in Pátzcuaro, works more or less the same. They've been running for 19 years, and I took many of the ideas I'm talking about from their way of doing things. I learned from them. It's Luis de Tavira, who is a very well-known theater director. He is the one who started that and taught me all of this for like the administration part of and dealing with the government.
In terms of development, like the scene changed a lot. The music changed a lot in Morelia and let's say in the radio around Guanajuato, San Luis, like this Bajío region changed a lot. But the younger generations also have changed. The newer languages of
it's a completely different thing from what ecosystem. And also the actual center itself has a different use nowadays, because at the beginning the idea at the beginning was to have access to studios, to good speakers, to acoustically designed spaces, and to know people and get to meet artists and everything. Nowadays, most of the students that come, or artists, even older artists that come to the center, they have everything they need in their computers. They have their studios, sometimes even 8-channel studios at home and everything. And so the center has been more for the past 5 or 6 years a place where you can network, where you can of course promote what you do to others and stuff like that, but not really to for artists who want to develop a work. It's a good place to just forget about everything and concentrate, like a residency. But it's not that they need the equipment, right? So we stopped buying equipment, we stopped buying computers, whatever. I mean, we just didn't invest in that, and we just put all the money into whatever we had, into inviting people and having a recording like with the one we are doing now, and having an archive of everything that's happening there, and being able to translate that into English and Spanish and everything, put it online, and then get in touch with companies who want to support artists. And we started the undergrad program where we can have exchanges with other universities. So it's more like like a networking place, and not a place where you can have access to equipment anymore.
Yeah, this is something I remember clearly. The first time I came to SEMAS was, I think, the first year in Prácticas when
Yeah,
this
that
program
was the
happened.
first year.
It was like the first year, and you had a very clear idea what SEMAS was supposed to be about.
Yes.
And these years, it tells a lot about you personally, and also the flexibility of the team that it was inside, how it been adapted to time, because nowadays, like you said, it's a bit obsolete.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we were building this space, we're thinking like making an electroacoustic studio in Slovenia that never happened probably doesn't need to be. But now it's different with a multi-channel sound system.
Yeah, you can always.
It's a
I mean,
different
it's very nice, but at the end of the day, the institution, the idea of the institution is to be able to provide whoever is interested in working with sound,
Exactly.
with knowledge and networking.
And it's not necessarily has to do with electroacoustic music like we thought 20 years ago.
Not at all, and it doesn't have to do anymore with the idea of a geographical place. So we are also getting rid of that. I mean, we're being smaller. We only have 2 studios now, and most of the investment is in doing things in different places and just getting rid of the actual hardware nowadays.
Like the toys itself.
Because the institutions,
optics.
the whole point with institutions all over the world is that they're very slow in adapting. So they end up dying because it takes very long to understand that you have to update your courses and buy your equipment and hire people. That's a nightmare. And nowadays with the gig economy, you don't need that. So we translate things abroad and we just get some money to pay someone in Mexico City to create sounds, and then we start being like a distributor of knowledge and experiences, and we are starting to do residencies of projects that they don't actually happen in our studios. So they just go to a different studio, but it's a commission by our center and stuff like that. So we don't have to provide equipment and have everything running all the time.
It must be very difficult to defend these kind of ideas when you have the national university whose structure and it has.
It's a nightmare, especially with the finances to get more
to
justify how you use the money. But at the end of the day, it's been like that, and it's going to be like that forever. It's not going to change.
But the last question I wanted to ask is, what is the SEMA's position nowadays towards artificial intelligence? And if there's any branches of the expertise that you can find in the National University, how can this be in a way incorporated? And if you see any, like if you have this crystal ball and imagine what would be the most ethical way to use AI in a way that is not perverse, let's say, by the possibility of substitute the creation. You know? Yeah,
to be honest, I think SEMAS is on a lighter side of that. I mean, we are more users than developers, right? Most of the artists.
But we should jump into this discussion because
I understand.
We cannot stop it.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But being users instead of like low-level developers has a good thing, because you can actually already consider all the social consequences of what AI means and everything. So I've seen some of the younger students just getting involved with that and trying to connect it with like local traditions or whatever, and they have this idea of being careful about incorporating that into their work. And then older artists or like more established artists who are already like really impressed, but they're really worried afraid of using it. So I think in a place like SEMAS doesn't really the only side to like new technologies or whatever that I'm worried about is like, for example, music information retrieval, which could be connected to AI somehow.
It's the core of getting the database.
Exactly, all that. Sometimes it's difficult for us to actually understand how deep we can actually control it.
What kind of descriptors they're using to really retrieve information.
That would be like the dangerous part of it. And but now, I mean, when we're already discussing that means that most of the artists and students and everyone, they go through the discussion about it. So I think it's pretty safe when you know you have to think twice about whatever you do. And that happens with all the tools. I mean, most of the tools we use are all imported or whatever. We adapt the tools and everything. So in Latin American countries or third world countries, we're very used to reflecting upon the tools that we get from outside.
And they're being used, tested, and proved their efficiency.
Yeah. So we're always worried and always discussing about just being users and not being developers.
What about NFTs? You have opened the door, because I don't know much about it, but I have a lot of colleagues now, especially younger colleagues, that are really talking about this to be the way out of an industry to disappear, and it would be more beneficial for artists. But I don't know if you have opened that.
Yeah, we're starting we already have accounts, and we're starting to explore releasing what we do in NFTs, which is, it's great in terms of feeling empowered, but it won't be a good business.
You don't think it's going to be more fair than, let's say,
No,
Spotify
not at all.
today?
No, because there are already intermediaries
Yeah.
who charge you very, very expensive to be able to mint what you want, and they get most of the money.
Although the principle of having having a tracking system of whatever you create, that it goes around and it reports you what is the usage, it sounds like an ideal way of
No, it is.
releasing what you do.
Absolutely.
Free of
And
even
that's,
the stock that you left out from a production, you can put it out. And
that's always better, and it's better than what we have today in terms of streaming. But the thing it's more fair. I agree with that, but it won't be like a completely different thing for the music and the things that we do, because most of the people, we're not used to pay for music
not anymore,
right?
We used to buy.
Yeah, which could be a good thing, but so it won't be NFTs won't be like a big business in terms of owning tracks or anything. The good thing about NFTs that we're exploring, at least, is to be able to pre-sell
pre-release the
yes, but to get some investment, like a crowdfunding thing of new projects, where 100 people can put, I don't know, $10 each, so I can or an artist can concentrate for a week in a residency to create a track that they all then own 10% or 1%, right? And then it moves around, but it was only $10, and it doesn't really matter but if it gets, I don't know, synchronization rights with Netflix or where, it gets some money. But otherwise, it's a good way of crowdfunding projects for artists without going through the crowdfunding like websites or whatever that also have many different problems, and they get involved in the content, and they decide what you can do and what you can't do, and then credit cards and everything. So in that sense, it's good. I can just release a project. I don't need to apply to a grant, and if people like what I do, I'll get the money to concentrate for a week. Yeah, but it's not like there's no profit.
Well, it gives hope.
Yeah, it gives hope in the sense that we're always like integrating new technologies to try to go around the problems that we have created by using them, because the problems at the end of the day, and the streamings and the CDs and the illegal copies of everything, it's something
and
that
the success, like the
good
kind
and
of
the
success that the record labels used
Yeah,
to promote, and it's
always
probably not so perverse.
Exactly. It's always it's the users who actually were part of that when everything started. It's not the company, it's not Spotify, it's us that pay Spotify to do what they do, and to pay very little. So it's I mean, they're so big because we all jumped in feeling that it was the new thing, and so if you are not careful, that's going to keep happening.
Hopefully we'll open a wave to be more creative, but probably that's one of my fears, is they will just narrow things to the stuff that is more well spread.
Yeah, but the whole point of working with sound and being an artist is that you know that you have to look for what you are looking for, because you know that most of the interesting things you don't really know they are there, but you have to look for them. Whereas in commercial stuff, people don't actually know what they don't know.
They just get shortcuts by people they trust.
Exactly. That's how it works, and the algorithm just identifies what you've been doing and gives you more of that, which is of course it's dangerous, but it's at the end of the day it's very easy to go.
It's more individualistic. It's more based on my habits.
Yes, but you it's on your hands to avoid it and go around. It's not that difficult in terms of technology. You just have to put some energy and put some energy into doing that.
I think we're running out of time, but thank you so much.
It's been great, and well, you'll share their website and everything for the center. Thanks very much,
we'll just
Mauricio.
put all the stuff. Thank you so much for coming.
That would be nice. You can download. We have thousands of videos. We have our festival that is running for 18 years, Visiones Sonoras. We have a journal that is free online. It's
the magazine.
The music technology journal or magazine, Sonic Ideas. We have now.
It's a journal.
It's a journal, academic journal that we've been printing for 18 years. We have for 12 years. Sorry, we've been. We also have this new website for online teaching and exchange at semas.com, And we also have like a new online store where we have everything available, download books and everything, and then we're putting NFTs and everything.
That's great. So we're gonna put it out in front
Yes.
of that.
Thanks.
Thank you.